There's this story that basically around the time I was born, Bill Clinton got pregnant, a woman he worked with, and then the Clintons paid for her abortion. I had no idea what you asked me to kill when I was 18 years old, 19 years old. I didn't know what my spirit had the capability to be, and I didn't know what my son's spirit had the capability to be, and how if you had actually been able to avail yourself the legacy of my family and his father's family, what could have been possible for the world. I didn't know what they wanted me to murder. I didn't know who everybody else in that situation had banked the rest of their life on murdering. I didn't know. During the 2008 presidential election season, it's understood that there was some contestation about volleying to support candidates for the Pennsylvania Attorney General. There was a different support and financing structure for the campaigns of the Pennsylvania Attorney General between the campaigns of Barack Obama and the campaign of Hillary Clinton. I read about it in a biography. Somebody placed some major fucking options on an attorney general, a state attorney general in the 2008 campaign season. You know, even if you lose an election, you don't necessarily lose all of the options set up on the campaign. I believe it's a form of currency, much like case law. And whether or not you make it to court is a form of currency for lawyers. It's not their currency. It's our lives. Do you know what happens if you try to take your life into your own hands? Those elitist fucks won't even acknowledge you. Pro se is somebody's dirty joke, and it's a very dirty joke. That's why you're supposed to be behind bars before you do it. The truth is, if you tried to assassinate me, if I ran for public office, you wouldn't succeed. Would it upset me if you ended up assassinating my political opposition during the campaign? Yes, it would. Because I'd want to beat them in a fair fight. But I don't have the financing to get to office because I cannot secure a conviction. See, that's what I thought was important. That if people had been robbed, if people had been lied to, if people had been trafficked, if people had been sexually exploited, if people had been enticed or attempted for extortion into cooperating with crimes, including crimes that tried to force them to sell their children, those people should know that the people who did that deserve to be punished. In some cases, they deserve to be executed. This is why I changed my position on capital punishment. Some crimes are so egregious that society needs to know that they are important enough for the state and the government to take responsibility for executing the culprit. It's akin to justification substantiating declarations of war. But I can't secure that. I cannot obtain one prosecution, one criminal prosecution for what happened to me or for what I witnessed happened to other people. I can't secure one prosecution. The closest is a time lag where somebody else who gets to ride my stolen identity is able to secure a civil kickback, usually replete with some sort of confidentiality agreement or non-disclose or waiver of liability, so that the culprits can merely recirculate the fine or the penalty into the cost of doing business. So I cannot finance my own election. And it seems that it has not been determined that that should be considered a qualification to actually get elected in this country. Instead, we have bioterrorists murdering people for, at least in New York, 29 a death to be paid to somebody via Medicare. When's the next open enrollment season? When is the next open enrollment season for Medicare? It's a timeline too. Somebody set up benchmarks. Who's getting signed up for Medicare right now? See, somebody's financing their campaigns with those enrollments. And in another dimension, some group of people believe that they are executing people as punishment for crimes. You understand that's why they've launched a bioterror attack. Somebody believed they were justified in not even declaring war, but using biological weapons to murder people. It's different. See, if I had taken that postcard you sent me in June of 2017, and I'd cross-referenced it with the names on that list, and I'd gone to where you would ping me to go so that I could remotely execute somebody that was part of your plan, with an understanding that later you would give me other postcards I could use to take out the people that were on my list as named respondents to my petition. I might be on my way to Congress right now, wouldn't I? Would I be your first transgender candidate? Would you have accepted me as a transgender candidate for Congress?